indigenous. That is changing right now. And I am usually, I like to make that very clear, okay? Next, this is a slide in which you can take a look more or less at the numbers and also at the geographical location of the speakers. I don't know how many of you are in contact with the amount of people who speak Quechua. What is Quechua, for example? People sometimes tell me because they don't know. Quechua I don't think that the people in general before had a name for the language. They just spoke a language. All of these naming of languages come when the Europeans arrived and they needed to sort of create all these labels. No? Quechua actually is not the name. The name in Spanish, in Quechua is Runasimi, which is the language of people, more or less, translated very widely. The Quechuas are located, and you can see that in the map. We are comprised more or less around 12 million. It looks like if it would be a very vital language, no? But it's not. There are areas in which the language is maintained, but there are areas in which the language is really decreasing. And also it's extremely discriminated, although now we have sort of a legal framework to protect them, and I'll tell you about it because I work very hard on that. Okay, the Quechua is a linguistic family, and it's spoken by around 12 million people in what is now the modern states, Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador. In Ecuador it's called Quechua, for example. And it's called Quechua because it has 3 vowels. Originally, Quechua doesn't have 5 vowels. It has only 3. And in Ecuador, they speak the language with 3 vowels, which would show that they are more related to how it was spoken in the past. In Colombia, it's called Ingano. I understand that the University of Indiana, they have a teacher who teaches Ingano. Okay, and then it's spoken also in the north of Chile and in Argentina. In Argentina, it's called La Quichua. And then it's an official language now in Peru, and it's historically largely, the populations are largely discriminated. In Peru, it's around 13% of the population, and 25% of people who identify as Quechua without necessarily speaking the language. Now, and I am putting this because I think these are millions of people speaking it, no? And sometimes we don't really ascertain that there are so many people speaking an indigenous languages sort of distributed in different countries. I'm talking about South America here, no? Imagine all these people being invisible, completely invisible to the power of the state. That tells you a lot about the human suffering that is going on there all the time, no? Now, the Maya, which is probably something that you can be more, I don't know if you are aware, no? The Maya is also a family of languages that is spoken in around 7 million in Guatemala, and it's also present in Yucatan, Mexico, in Belize, in Honduras, in El Salvador, and it is also a largely transnational refugee and immigrant language spoken in the United States and Canada. In Guatemala, there are 22 Mayan languages. In Mexico, there are 8 Mayan languages, including, for example, Maya, Celtal, and Tzotzil. So the diversity here is also large, very large, no? Sometimes we don't have all this data. It's important to have it in mind to understand how these languages are existing there and what are the features that they have and how families reflect this diversity. I am making a point here in explaining that Maya is a transnational refugee and immigrant language because a lot of Maya families are now suffering under the Trump administration separation of families. Okay, and that is a big problem now in terms of how are their court cases conducted. If they are allowed to have interpreters or translators, it's a very difficult situation. Okay, here we go. This is another language that I want to make sure is also mentioned, and it's the Aymara language. Where I come from, the Aymara have a very distinct personality. They live in in this area between Peru, Chile, and Bolivia. They live in Bolivia in large numbers. And as you know, Evo Morales, who is supposedly to have been reelected for the 4th time right now, he is of Aymara descent. He doesn't speak the language, but he's Aymara. So it is important to take them into account because right now they have a lot of influence in terms of the development of indigenous language rights in continentally speaking. Okay, and now I want you to take a look to South America. All of what you see here in brown were areas that were populated by the Inca Confederacy because it was not an empire. I know that sometimes when people talk about the Inca, they say that we were an empire. I think the entire construction of that comes also from the idea that there was a Roman Empire, so we needed to have our Inca Empire. It's not. We were a confederated group of states, no? It was a multilingual setting in which Quechua, Runasimi was sort of the lingua franca, but under that we had many people speaking many languages. Okay, I'm going to go right now into what I think it's important to understand why a language is important. Languages are a critical part of identity.